Hey everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at layers in Photoshop. So this is going to be aimed more at beginners in Photoshop or people who don't really understand how to use layers. This was requested in another video. So your layers should appear somewhere over here. You can see this whole panel here is mine. If you don't have layers here, you can come up to Window at the top here. And layers probably won't be ticked if you don't have it. So if I untick that, mine vanishes. Window, tick layers, and it comes back. One thing to note quickly is that there are a million different ways of using your layers. So this is just a basic way to get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is come down to the bottom right hand corner and click this button here, which is create new layer. Alternatively, you can press Ctrl, Alt, Shift and N on your keyboard and that will do the same thing. So you will notice up here, I now have a new layer, layer 1. There's nothing on it yet. So if you want, you could rename this and you would probably start with this as your rough layer for a sketch. You don't have to rename them. I'm just showing you this so that you know how to keep it more organized. You can also right click on that layer and select a color if you'd like. So I'm going to put grey for mine and you can see this layer now has a grey box around it. Again, this is just for organization. So as this layer suggests, this is going to be our sketch layer. This can be messy. This is our rough layer, just to get the initial design down on paper. I'm going to select a different brush. I'm going to use a brush that I created, which is a sketch brush. You don't have to do this. You can use anything. I will stick a link on the video now and in the description box below the video if you want to learn how to make this sketch brush. And I'm going to use Pikachu as an example in this. You can probably tell I think this is going to be one of my best drawings so far. And I have sped this bit up because watching me draw it is not too important. So now it's time to create our next layer. The same way we did before, we're going to click the Create New Layer button, or Ctrl, Alt, Shift and N. And you will see up here, we now have another layer above the last one. So I'm going to rename this one Line Art. And this is, as you can tell, going to be our line art. Again, you can change the colour. I'm going to go violet for my line art. And I've selected a brush that I find appropriate for the line art. And I've chosen black. One thing I wanted to point out is the order here on the right hand side in the layers panel is the order which we are seeing it on screen as well. So line art is on top of sketch at the moment. So our line art here is covering the red sketch. If I was to click and drag this line art layer below the sketch, in the right hand panel our sketch layer is now above the line art and here you can see the red sketch is now on top of the black line art. Anyway, I'm going to speed this up whilst I create the line art. So at this point we now have our line art and our sketch. There's a little eye icon over on our sketch layer. If you click that, it will make our sketch disappear. Again, you can bring it back into view by selecting the same area. So I would probably just leave it so that it's not on show, but you could click and drag on your sketch layer and drag it to this bin icon down here, which would get rid of it. That's one way of keeping it neater. So if you don't like having too many layers on screen, that's one option. I'm going to keep mine there anyway, even switched off. Next, we're going to add some colour. So I'm going to create another layer and I'm going to rename this one Flats for flat colours. And because he's yellow, I'll colour this one yellow. Maybe that'll make it easier to organise. So I'm going to select the colour that I want and you can begin to block this in. But again, you'll notice this goes on top of the line art. So we need to click and drag the flats layer below the line art layer, like so. Again, you may find yourself zooming in to get right up to the edges of the lines to make your illustration neater. You could probably use the fill tool as well if your line art is neat enough. Now we've got some options here. I want to block in some more flat colours. The basic way to do this would just be to create them on the same layer that we're already on, just blocking a different colour. That might be what you prefer to do, nice and easy, no problem with that. Another way is to create another layer for each colour. So I've created another layer there, and I'm going to put a yellow as well. So even though I've got different flat colours on different layers, it should be easy to tell which layers those are from the colours. I'm going to create a third one that I'm going to put some black in. Again, I'll do this as a flat colour. You could probably put this in your line art as well if you'd prefer. Don't forget that you can rename these if you want. Once you're happy with your flat colours, you can leave them as you want on individual layers, which can be a good idea if you think you might go back and edit those colours. But alternatively, you can merge all those layers down onto one layer once you're happy with them. So you can right click on the top layer, you can click merge down, which will merge that layer to the layer below it. A keyboard shortcut for that is Ctrl and E. Or you can press Ctrl and highlight the layers you want to become one layer. Right click and just click merge layers. It's lost its colour there, so I'm just going to add that back in. But you can now see our flats are all on one layer. So it's quite simple how it's organised now. We only have our flats and our line art. So I'm going to create another layer. This one I'm going to keep above the flats but below the line art, and I'm going to rename it shading. Add a colour if you want. I'm going to select a darker colour and add in some basic cell shading. Again, if you want to add different colours of shading, you can put them on the same layer or you can use a different layer. It's completely up to you. I'm just going to use the same layer this time because it's only very basic what we're doing. So you could be neater than what I've done, because you'll notice I've gone out the lines because I wanted to show you a quick trick. Once you've got your shading on, you can actually hold down Alt on your keyboard and select between the two layers. So in this case, that's the shading in the flat layer over here. You'll see this icon appear. So if you click when that shows up, it connects the layers together, and you can see what that's done. It means that our shading layer can only show up where there are pixels below it on the flat layer. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, that's optional. You can just be neat with it if that's easier. And I'm going to create one more layer. You're probably getting the process by now. And I'm going to use this one for highlights. You might not want these on your drawing anyway. I should have probably used better colour coding on the right hand side, but you can choose which ones you want to use. So this time I'm just going to add in my highlights wherever I want them to be. And I've actually added his teeth in as a lighter colour, just as a highlight. I should have probably put them on a flat layer, but that's up to you how you organise them. Okay, so there he is finished. And you can see our layers down the right hand side are quite organised. Don't forget you can get rid of this sketch layer if you don't want that. If you have finished, you could merge all these layers down into one in the same way we did with the flat layers earlier. I wouldn't recommend that though unless you really need to, or unless you're definitely done with it. Don't forget you can go in at any point and add to any of these layers very easily, or even create more layers if you want. But yeah, there he is finished. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. This video was actually requested for in one of my other ones in the comments below. So if you have any suggestions of future videos you want to see, definitely leave me a comment and let me know. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, leave me a comment below, and as always, make sure to subscribe for more content.